Hey everyone, it's Stu here from 3B. Today's the day that I'm going to take apart my EVGA 2080ti Black Edition, throw an all-in-one CPU watercooler unit on it using the NZXT Kraken G12 bracket. It all seems pretty straightforward, but we've all heard and seen and thought those things before, and it's all gone tits up. So we'll see how we get on. I'm going to show you me taking it apart. That'll all be pretty quick because I'll speed it up and chop it around so you can see what's going on. Then we'll throw it in, turn it on, see how it goes. We'll then do some benchmarking on just sort of standard settings, non-overclocked, and then we'll overclock it, and then we'll compare it to the other results that we got last week with just the stock cooler on the card. So fingers crossed, let's hope it all works okay, and let's get to it. So let's take a look at what we have here. So this is the Kraken G12. I've got the white one, and I've also got a Corsair Hydro Series H55, which is a certified refurbished. I got this for around about £35, which is a bargain really, considering, you know, it's completely refurbished. There's no sign of wear or tear on it. It's incredibly good nick. So let's just have a look at the Kraken G12. It's really straightforward. There's not an awful lot to it really. So, and it's really simple to use. So those are the instructions. We have all the brackets, cable ties, screws. I was concerned as to whether it would be really sort of fiddly and tricky, but having read the instructions, it's really pretty straightforward. Thumb screws and washers and whatnot. Then we have the tiny fan, which blows on the memory chips and all the other bits and bobs. Just a very straightforward, simple fan. And take this out, and then we have the bracket, which when I first saw it, I was like, wow, that's really tiny. Teeny tiny fan. So let's get rid of that box. So as you can see, there's not an awful lot to it. And I thought, wow, you know, no wonder it's only, you know, £25, $25. So basically, the fan goes here. Your AIO, without any of the brackets that you get with the AIO, simply slides in, slots down, and then you use these brackets. There's an AMD and an NVIDIA set of brackets, and then you simply bolt this onto those brackets with the all-in-one just sitting there being pushed down with the screws. It's really very straightforward and simple. So that's the NZXT bracket. We've all seen an all-in-one thing, but I just want to sort of quickly show you the one I got. I wanted to sort of try and keep it relatively straightforward and simple. So this is a refurbished one, and so everything is as it should be. We won't be using any of that, but that's all the brackets. That's the fan. I may use, because this is just a standard fan, I believe, and it's no different to the in terms of what I've got in my case, other than mine are the new fancy RGB lighty uppy ones. So I will, if it's the same size, use the one I've got in the case, so I can still keep the ones that I'm using. And essentially here's, you know, the thing. The only thing I was concerned about, and I'm not a big fan of, is it's got pre-applied paste on the bottom, and you know, this is usually dried out and nasty. But we'll see how it goes. If it's not going to call it sufficiently and I see spikes or problems with that, then I will get some thermal paste of my own and use that instead. So we'll see how we go on with the thing. But for £35 for an all-in-one, you know, it's guaranteed still. It's as good as new. It just doesn't come in a fancy box. Right, so all we're simply doing is taking off this. I'll take off the back plate. Right, and that's the final screw. The 1,000,001 screws. On this last one, thing to note, there is a tiny little washer under here. So make sure you don't lose that. And let's see if we can prise this off. Should be able to. So we have the thermal pads. We'll leave them as where they are. The next thing we remove are these retaining screws. It's a funny little. That's the fan controller just there. Just take that off. There we go. So that's the heat sink. As you can see, you know, it's a pretty meaty affair, but for what it's trying to cool, it's not enough. So we'll put that to one side because I need to clean that off. And here's the business. Here's the business end, and we need to clean this GPU. Use some isopropyl alcohol. So here's the main bracket. I just need to do some housework. Hold on. And we have the fan. And we have all the brackets and so on. And there's one for AMD and one for AMD, yeah, one for AMD and one for NVIDIA. So what we'll do, I don't need that near me right now. Keep those, move that up there. That's the fan. And we will get the water cooler, which is ready behind me. So that's that part. We will put that aside and we'll put the brackets on for the GPU. So here's an oddity, here's a thing. I've just taken off the other metal sort of heatsink thing. It literally just pulls off. And then I've reseated all the sort of cooling pads back on. So this literally just pulls off. You sort of have to ease it off because it's all stuck on with these pads. Right, here's the oddity. Now these are the NVIDIA brackets for an NVIDIA GPU, and they don't fit. There's nowhere for them to go. They're just simply too big. However, so there's the NVIDIA ones, remember? The AMD ones do. They're exactly the right size. So when installing this for a 2080 Ti, remember that it's the AMD brackets that actually fit a 2080 Ti card. It doesn't say that, of course. I actually found it on Reddit, and there was a moment there where I thought, oh, okay, this has got interesting. Considering I've got no thermal paste to put everything back together again. So one final screw to go. So that goes on there. And then we hold the card firmly and just not over tighten, just enough to so things are snug. I've got a feeling I should have added washers on the opposite side as well, really. I may actually do that. I just remembered we've got 8 washers rather than 4. I'll just check that these aren't used for something else. Okay, we're all good. The other washers, these washers are used for when we're pushing the... Sorry, I need to wet my finger to pick that up. Right, so as we can see, we have the AMD brackets on and not the NVIDIA ones. So the NVIDIA ones on a 2080 Ti actually don't fit. So the next thing we do, we'll remove these. There's these pads that we have to add to the thing. This goes on like that with the AIO that way, and then we have we need to... You have to excuse my head, my balding head. I'm just looking at where it all lines up. So that's that. Now we get the CPU, CPU cooler. So as you can see, here's the CPU cooler. Let's do some housekeeping. Always try and keep your workspace clean. Right. You have to be careful because you have to take this off to get this onto there. And it's relatively straightforward, but I have to do it in a way that I make sure that so all you do, push that through, so it's, you know, and you sort of think that's really loose, but then what happens is it lodges down onto the spikes. So we have that, so it's like that, and I want that to be sort of a little bit, I'm just wondering whether I want it that way or to figure this out, because I'm having everything come out that end rather than the other way round. So let's try. If my head is in the way, I apologize. Just trying to fiddle. So it's a bit fiddly. So that'll be that way, and then the things would go up that way. That's more where I probably want it. So it's a little bit fiddly, this, because you kind of got your all-in-one banging around. Things are getting in the way. You're trying not to get your thumbs and your prints all over the so yeah, this is the tricky bit, actually. So I think if you have a friend that could help with this bit, I think it could be worthwhile. You have to excuse me if my head's in the way, but I'm trying to get this so it's really, this is the really fiddly bit. So I've got it on the thing. I got the pads on the Watsets. All these technical terms floating around. Right, I hope we didn't miss too much. While I was fiddling, I just realised the video had stopped, so I apologise for that. But basically, I've just screwed the all-in-one, don't know what it's called now, heatsink, I guess, sort of chip base, I don't know what they call them, onto the brackets, and then all you do is you then use the screws and then you tighten them one by one, going opposite corners, and then just tighten them until they don't go anymore, but don't over tighten. And then you make sure that basically this does, it just slots in, and then the bracket keeps those in under these it sort of hooks it in. So hopefully, because I was too engrossed with getting that right, the video had stopped. So basically how I want this to work, really fiddly. Oh, okay, yeah, we've gone to actually bending the card there. Okay. That's alarming. I put that too close to the See, that's where you have to be really careful. I thought I had it where it should be, but obviously I've moved it a little bit, and what's happened is one of these spongy things had got too close to one part of the board, so hopefully that'll be fine just there. Yeah, it was a bit alarming when I looked at that just then. Yeah, I think we're good. It was just a little bit too close to that. Yeah, so that's one thing to sort of pay real attention to, that those foam things are difficult to position exactly where they need to be, and yeah, so you have to kind of make sure that there, see if I can show you these foam things, you have to sort of judge the best place to put them, and yeah, so it can get kind of fiddly as to exactly where they go. So just a quick tip, all the bags that you get that came with all the other stuff that you bought, everything that you've taken off, the back plate, the internal sort of back plate, and obviously the cooler itself, all the connections, pins, washers and so on, use those bags to store them in, and then obviously it's always a good idea to keep your GPU box that you originally got your GPU in, and then store everything in that. So when it comes to sell this, you know, you're best selling it with all the original stuff on. You can put everything back on, put some thermal paste on, and it'll be as good as new.